Hello there, my name is Dr. George and this is Dear Doctor. Understandably, in Lagos State now, it's a whole vibe. The governor just banned the use of okadas and kekes, and now everybody is worried. Some people have to trek, some people have to be compacted in buses, and some people who can have strictly restricted themselves to the Ubers and the boats and all the cabs they can get. Wonderful. But today we're going to have to consider the pros and cons of either being packed like sardines in a bus or having to trek your way to your destination. Quite interesting. When we return from the oncoming commercial break, I will give you all the down lows on all the possible dangerous conditions you could be facing being packed in a bus in Lagos. I'll see you soon. Hello there, I'm still Dr. George, and yes, you're still on to Dear Doctor. So today, I had the privilege of having to watch a lot of persons get packed in a bus. And believe me, it doesn't feel good. Some people had to sneeze, some people had to cough, some people had to scratch. And yes, there are the slay mamas whose hair will probably get in your mouth and your eyes and your ears. And yes, there is transmission of diseases. Now don't get me wrong, stepping into a bus doesn't mean you are stepping into a box of disease, okay? But yes, on the other hand, you are going to be exposed to a whole lot of bacteria flying around. So now the buses have to take a lot more persons. When someone sneezes in a bus, understand something. This bus is speeding on the road and there's so much ventilation going on. So there's a chance that there's an even distribution and nobody really catches anything. But as well, you're breathing. When someone sneezes, a whole lot of bacilli is released into the air immediately. And it's only natural that you're also breathing, so you pick some up for yourself. About the same thing happens when someone coughs in a bus without something to reduce the exposure of the explosion of bacilli in the bus. And you also have to pick some up. But then you don't immediately get sick because your body has some natural immunity to fight some of these things. But if you're going to keep up with this tradition for as long as these kekes and bikes are going to get banned, at some point you are going to pick up something and have to visit the hospital. Or you might even have to start popping pills before you get into these buses. My point is this, you're going to have to beef up your own personal protection. Get a face mask, do something. You're going to have to help yourself. When we return from this commercial break, I will detail you on the things you could do to give yourself some adequate protection, more than I just mentioned. I'll see you soon. Welcome back. This is still Dear Doctor. Now listen, you are going to have to use these buses for a while. There are a few practices that would keep you in check. You would never keep up with the number of things you have to touch in a day, especially when you have to get into a bus. You have to shift, you have to bring out your money, collect from the conductor, a whole lot of things. Washing your hands frequently would go a long way. So once you come down from the bus, you get to where you're going, find the nearest source of clean water and wash your hands and dry it and keep up with what you're doing. Also, you're going to need to get a face mask. Yes, some persons might think it's weird. Doesn't matter what they think, you're protecting your health. So you wear your face mask attached to your ear when you get into a bus. You're just reducing the exposure you could possibly have from all that will be shared in the bus, which of course nobody actually would see. And that would go a whole way to to help you keep your health in check. Please, if you happen to feel any symptoms whatsoever, do not rush to pop pills. Kindly visit a hospital and get adequate care. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to talk about our trekking guys, the trekometers. This is the part where it gets funny because this actually has its good parts and its really uncomfortable part. I know you've been trying to lose weight and all that. Yeah, this is a good time. Walk your way to your office and lose some weight. However, I also agree that it is stressful and it's not something you want to do. And yes, there are health hazards attached to the practice. When we return from this break, we'll break everything down just like we did before and you would be good to go. See you very soon. Hello, welcome back. For those of my friends who have to trek to work and back, I'm really sorry. But what can we really do? Just hope the government would do something to alleviate this. However, now I'm talking about the health hazards you might have to face. Have you really checked out there? It's hot and the air is dry. And yes, you're going to get dehydrated. Dehydration is a serious problem. If you've never faced it, you really wouldn't know. You have to take a whole lot of water, your throat feels dry, your tongue feels dry, and it's so uncomfortable. And you're not even arrived your destination yet. And so you are left with the option of buying water on the way or whatever you can do to keep going. I understand, but then make sure you're obtaining a clean source of water to keep you going. One thing you can do is when you wake up in the morning, you now have to get breakfast at home. Yes, unfortunately you have to. I know it wasn't your practice before. And you have to take adequate water at home before you step out on this spot-like journey. Okay, number two is that the air is dry and is really dusty now, so you're going to pick up a lot of uncomfortable smell and the air is dry, so it will do you a whole world of good to get a face mask. Yes, a whole lot of diseases are airborne, so it's very, very important that you get a face mask. I will keep emphasizing it. This period is the face mask period. We just have to get that. Buy a pack, keep it at home. Every morning you pick up one that you're going to use for the day and you discard at the end of usage. When you arrive at your destination, please wash your hands. You really have to keep up with that practice. Washing your hands and using a face mask, that will go a long way to help you with what you're doing. And learn to take your rest. I don't know what the conditions in your working place are, but you have to get your rest intermittently. If you get to a distance and you're tired, you're a human being. You're not really a machine. Pause. Sit down. Drink water. Take your rest. You're human. There isn't much you can do about this. And when you catch your breath, continue on your trekometer. It's interesting, but that's how it's going to be now. And these would keep your health in check. And guess what? There's a whole lot of benefits to trekking. Exercise. I have to point out something. There is a difference between work, stress, and exercise. There's a whole world of difference. You could sit in front of your desk, maybe you're a programmer and you're working on your system, you're working. If you're not really succeeding with what you're doing and it's really giving you some mental challenge, now you are stressed. But with these three things you've done, you've not even exercised. You're just sitting at one place. You see? 3 different things. So count it as your weekly workout plan. Probably get these wristwatches that calculate how many steps you've taken and tell you how many calories you've lost. Or unless maybe you're not planning on losing calories, then maybe you have to work on your diet and get some more to eat, and then you have to get a whole lot of rest when you finally return from work. Maybe those nights out in the bars and drinking before you go to work the next day will have to be cancelled or reduced. But now you have to get a whole lot rest. So there you have it. There's a whole lot to that. When we return, I would be able to talk about other things or maybe take your questions as regards this trekking and having to be compacted in buses. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. George and this is still Dear Doctor. Just during the break, I was having a huge laugh when I remembered one of my patients presented to the hospital lately, and he was tired. When I mean tired, he could not do anything. If you wanted to check his blood pressure, he was tired. You wanted him to come with you to the lab, he was tired. Somehow I was beginning to think it was part of the sickness. Guess what? It wasn't. He just had to trek all the way from work down to the hospital. It's that bad. This begs the part where you have to get your feeding up. Of course, now you're burning more energy than you used to, and your body is going to place a demand on your energy. And so you have to not really become a voracious eater now. You're going to have to put in a little more calorie in food than you used to. But I beg you, do not resort to plenty sugars, because that is where your appetite is going to try to lean. This time around, eat more healthy, because you really need the energy to keep up. It's really weird that I'm giving Lagosians advice on how to trek to work and back. But what can we say? It's the condition of the day, and we have to make lemonades when life gives us lemons. Now, there must be social media handles displayed on the screen. Feel free to get across to me with any question whatsoever you could have. We'll be glad to help you out. Thank you very much. My name is Dr. George, and this is Still There Doctor. See you soon.